We are doing Take Pride in Your Mental Health, which is focused on LGBTQ plus students at Carroll College and resources available to them for their mental health. We chose to focus on this project because it seems at Carroll there's a lack of resources for LGBTQ plus students. And we know that we have a predominant LGBTQ plus community, and we wanted to make sure that they have the same resources that straight peers are able to receive. So today we're going to be covering interviews, focus groups, environmental scans, outlet density scans, educational posters, readiness assessments, and future recommendations for change.
We conducted 7 individual interviews via virtual and in-person formats. All interviewees were asked the same 9 questions, and we had a representation of students, faculty, alumni, the faith community, mental health providers who are all part of the Helena community at large. Our first question was that mental health issues for LGBTQ plus students were a very big problem. A mental health provider commented that LGBTQ plus remain a highly rejected community. Rejection is the oldest form of punishment. And schools are communities too, so the rejection that LGBTQ plus students experience can be catastrophic to their mental health. No interviewees were aware of LGBTQ plus student mental health training. Faculty were to seek out their own resources, and training was not provided at the college. However, at the time of this presentation, and since interviews were held, Drs. Ayers and Angel at Carroll College have arranged for Safe Zone training for Carroll employees to be held April 27th. Safe Zone training is designed to help attendees identify ways to create a more welcoming and inclusive campus, and provides education on LGBTQ plus identities, sexuality, gender, and examine their own personal understanding and biases pertaining to these topics. Safe Zone is a widely used and foundational education platform for effective LGBTQ plus awareness and ally training. Interviewees were found to think there's a bit to a lot of stigma regarding mental health issues in general. Montana in general is a state where there is a pervasive hesitance to get professional help, especially for males, rural communities, and even by a faith base. One interviewee commented that our professors, faculty, and staff all walk the walk when it comes to our ecumenical mission and are truly supporters of helping people be the best they can be. Our interviews showed that there is a lot of stigma regarding LGBTQ plus mental health issues, and based on the teachings of the Catholic Church, students could feel highly rejected. If the issue is being brushed under the rug, they may assign another problem to their mental health challenges. Our interviewees provide some action items to help improve LGBTQ plus student mental health. These include supporting Carroll's GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance, and the hosting of GSA events and fundraisers on campus and in the community. And these events and fundraisers receiving the same support and attention that other groups on campus receive. There's an opportunity with the GSA to help educate others on the LGBTQ plus community and introduce student diversity to different populations. It was also suggested to provide training and education for teachers, RAs, and other youth leaders. Nearly all faculty or staff have a safe zone sign, which is by the individual's choice, and this signifies acceptance. Also, to represent the LGBTQ plus community in the arts, include books and plays by LGBTQ plus authors with community characters and themes. We also asked our interviewees to tell us what actions they've observed that might worsen an LGBTQ plus student's mental health. These include canceling of a community or GSA event. For instance, at Carroll, the drag show cancellation was mentioned in over half the interviews. The perception of this specific action was, we will tell you that we accept you, but our actions tell you we will tolerate you. Also, being a part of a community and group is a desire, human desire and trait. So being told who you are is not okay with that group or community is really harmful. Biased behaviors that have been observed, slurs like saying that's gay, not understanding gender fluidity, and also the perspective that students come to college and may be exposed to new and different things from home, and that some react in fear. Carroll is laying the groundwork by doing many things well. First is access to the Friendship Center representatives and the Wellness Center on campus. Providing a GSA where students can go for help and support. Many Catholic campuses do not have a GSA. And we are blessed with a body of faculty and staff that are supportive of LGBTQ plus students, so these students know where to go to get support they need. Carroll could help improve LGBTQ students' mental health by improving counseling services to ensure counselors are familiar with the community language and experience. Wellness center counselors are kind, welcoming, and open to all students, but unfamiliarity with LGBTQ plus community language and experiences can deter individuals from seeking help. Provide peer education. There are a variety of peer education curriculums, and peer education proves to be an impactful means of sharing a message. Support and acceptance of the GSA by making the point to attend events and show support through actions. One interviewee said, the administration needs to be more open about making sure that these students and all of our students feel that this is a safe place and that they are respected, and they need to act on it because words are not enough. What you do really sends a strong message.
The next thing that we did were conducting focus groups. We did these focus groups to gain more insight in a group setting, and these small groups allowed students for more discussion than a one-on-one interview. The participants of these focus groups included members of the Gay Straight Alliance here on campus and peer ministers. Peer ministers are part of the campus ministry, and they're available to be a presence encouraging faith on campus while also being a resource and counsel to students when needed. These groups consisted of 3 to 4 people per focus group, and the same 9 questions that were used in the interviews were asked in each focus group. Our first focus group was the members of the GSA, and both focus groups said that mental health issues were sometimes a problem for LGBTQ plus students. One member of GSA said that generally among people in our age, anxiety and depression are pretty big, but LGBTQ plus youth are at an increased risk because of society's response and whether or not they feel accepted by their family and the people around them. There's a new LGBTQ plus task force that is working on implementing training for student leaders on campus, such as RAs and peer ministers. And one of the main things that has been seen on campus that has been detrimental to the LGBTQ plus students, according to members of the GSA, is that an event put on by the GSA had been canceled. A GSA member stated, even when they tried to have the drag show, it kept getting changed and cut back to make it acceptable, which kind of defeats the purpose of self-expression. That hurt a lot of students because even when it did happen, it was just so different from what was originally supposed to happen. And according to the members of GSA, there's a majority of the staff here on campus that are supportive and caring for those that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Our second focus group was the peer ministers, and they said the fact that Carroll does have a wellness center, a GSA club, and an LGBTQ plus task force, that can improve the mental health for the LGBTQ plus students. They also felt that administration could have better communication with the students about how they're feeling and why they're doing the things they're doing. A pretty big difference between the two focus groups is that peer ministers had never observed any biased behaviors against LGBTQ plus students. Overall, we've learned from the two focus groups that having a GSA club on campus is so important to students who are in the LGBTQ plus community because they can go there and find somebody who may be going through the same thing they are, and they can get help through those students. Canceling GSA events that are put on really affects the students because it makes them feel left out and not heard. Faculty, staff, and students need more training for situations that involve LGBTQ plus mental health because there just is not enough knowledge here on campus. There's also a huge difference in understanding between students in the LGBTQ plus community and students out of the community. And another important thing is that both groups said that it comes down to what the students themselves are doing to improve their mental health rather than any action from anyone else. And an environmental scan is a systematic process that is used to scan an area for specific details. In our environmental scan, we looked for safe space or safe zone posters, pamphlets or posters regarding LGBTQ plus mental health resources, and anything that featured same-sex relationships. We scanned Borromeo Hall, which is home to administration, faculty and staff, and student dorms. St. Charles Hall, which is home to administration, staff, faculty offices, classrooms, and student dorms. Simperman and the Fortin Science Center, which have faculty and staff offices and a bunch of classrooms. Guadalupe Hall, which is freshman dorms, and the Wellness Center, which is in the bottom of Guad, which is a free on-campus healthcare office, which has access to counselors also. So we found that the vast majority of the posters and signs were safe space, safe zone posters, and they were found on a lot of professors' offices in each building. And other floors in Guad, Boro, and Charlie's had posters regarding overall mental health resources and healthy relationships, but there was nothing related to the LGBTQ plus community. There's a wide variety of professors who clearly support and are willing to be there for the students here at Carroll who identify as LGBTQ plus.
Next, we conducted an outlet density scan, which is a scan of the environment around us, looking for specific resources. We chose to look for counselors within a walkable distance of Carroll College. The first circle is a half-a-mile radius, and within that circle, there were 3 counselors that students could go to. Within a 1-mile radius, there were another 6 counselors that students could walk to, which means that there are 9 available counselors within a mile radius of campus. Outside of that mile radius, if a student did have a car, there are another 7 counselors available outside of that mile radius. This means that students have plenty of options off campus to walk to a counselor. However, none of these counselors specifically list on their websites that they are a safe space or LGBTQ plus friendly, which we think could be improved. After we learned everything we did from interviews, focus groups, environmental, and outlet density scans, we wanted to create posters in order to educate our community at Carroll about LGBTQ plus issues. Both posters we created focused on numbers and statistics for the LGBTQ plus community in order to help Carroll gain an understanding of how prevalent the LGBTQ plus community truly is on our campus. We heard from many students that it didn't seem like we had a large community, when in fact we know that almost 1 in 10 college students identify as LGBTQ plus. And when a climate survey was done in 2016, 69.6% of Carroll students claimed they were allies for the LGBTQ plus community. We then did a readiness assessment, which focuses on the several steps that you can go through in order to implement and create change where you are working. When we did our readiness assessment, we found that Carroll was in a denial and resistance stage and a vague awareness stage. We felt that vague awareness was a stage for students because students are working towards creating change. However, they are getting denial and resistance from administration and are struggling to move forward to create change when administration is not reaching students where they want to be. We came up with 4 recommendations based on all of the research we've done. We believe that a type of safe space training needs to be implemented for all student leaders, including ASCC leaders, peer ministers, RAs, and any other student who is in a priority position and a leadership position. We also felt that the counselors should have biographies on the Wellness Center's website that list their specialties and things that they're comfortable talking about. Many students complained about the lack of knowledge within the Wellness Center about LGBTQ plus issues, and this is something that's a small step that can create a more inclusive environment for LGBTQ plus students. In order to make a more inclusive campus, we believe that there should be LGBTQ plus events campus-wide, such as a Pride event for students. We also believe there needs to be better advertisement for LGBTQ plus events, including but not limited to GSA Club and any events that they put on. These should be emailed out posters hung, and it should be well known that these events are happening and not swept under the rug like it seems to be in the past.